By now it's no secret, I love the horror genre. I know what you're thinking, yeah, no shit. Every genre has its classics, the horror genre being no exception. And while I do love my classics like Halloween, Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, there are movies out there that not a lot of people know about. Some really well-made horror movies that are unfortunately not well known. So I wanted to show a little love for the lesser-known creep fests. And I wanted to pick horror movies that really not a lot of people know about. Either they're talked about very little or I see almost nobody talking about them. So sit back, relax, and enjoy my top 10 underrated horror movies.
Number 10, Phone. When it comes to horror, pretty much anything can kill you, including homicidal household appliances. You got killer videotapes, killer beds, killer refrigerators, and in this movie, a killer cell phone. The difference here is it's also a possession movie. Picture, if you will, a 6-year-old girl possessed by the dead teenage lover of her father. Nothing creepier than creating sexual tension between daddy's little girl and daddy. This kid is one of the best and creepiest child actresses that I've seen. And that's the main reason this movie gets a spot on the list. Because no one can play creepy little girl better. And watching this makes me pray that I'm sterile. Number 9, Naked Fear. I know you haven't heard of this one. I actually came across Naked Fear when I was looking at DVDs online and came across it for very cheap. Literally a brand new copy for almost nothing. So I bought it out of curiosity thinking it was going to be a so bad it's good movie. And I was surprised to find out that it's actually pretty damn good. Basically, it's about this guy who kidnaps women, strips them down naked, and then sets them loose in the wild so he can hunt them for sport. The movie doesn't have a big budget, and it obviously doesn't have any big-name actors. And true, you're not going to get any award-winning performances in this, but still, everybody's putting in legitimate effort. When I got this, I literally thought it was going to be a very goofy movie, but the movie's actually well-made and really suspenseful. Not something I was expecting from a movie called Naked Fear. I'll admit you have to wait until like halfway through the movie for things to really get going, but it's well worth the wait for a movie that knocked my socks off from how not silly it is.
End of the hunt, Diana. Not one I'll care to remember, I have to say. But you know what? It's turned out to be an absolutely lovely afternoon.
Number 8, Blood Spattered Bride.
No, nothing, thanks. See you tomorrow.
I've said before in my videos that it's kind of hard for me to get into vampire movies. Still, there's plenty of blood-sucking movies that I do enjoy, this being one of them. Blood Spattered Bride is a lesbian vampire movie, which was a genre that was pretty popular back in the 70s. And I think they're some of the more original vampire movies out there. One of the main things I like about this movie is it doesn't follow the usual vampire cliches. Don't worry, there's still plenty of blood and sex to go around, but it doesn't feel like your typical vampire movie. Not only that, but it's really well shot and it has a great musical score. And, like I always want in a horror movie, it has great atmosphere. Some people may be bothered by the high amounts of sexuality in the movie, but this movie shows you the right way of how to make vampires sexy and creepy at the same time.
I hate him. Say it again. I hate him. Say it with all your heart. I hate him. He has pierced your flesh to humiliate you.
Number 7, The Black Scorpion. God bless you, 1950s. I've always had a soft spot for monster movies, and I've always had a soft spot for claymation visual effects. I know CGI takes a lot of work, but it takes a lot of patience to do claymation. You're in a room for hours on end, and once you start the animation, you can't stop until it's finished. I've always wondered why scorpions aren't used in more horror movies. I think they look cool and scary as hell. Nowadays, giant bug movies are viewed as a joke and you mainly only see them on the Sci-Fi Channel. It's true giant bug movies were campy B-movies back in the 50s as well, but they just have a certain charm to them. Black Scorpion is a great giant monster movie and one that I really wish people would talk about more. Number 6, The Sinful Dwarf.
I have more toys upstairs.
This one's gonna get me some looks. Now this movie is just all around creepy. That I need to take a shower kinda creepy. You got this newly married couple moving into a boarding house run by this crazy old lady and her creepy dwarf son, Olaf. These people make the Osborns look like the family from Leave It to Beaver.
You see, it is a nice soft bed.
Every family has their secrets. This one happens to be a bunch of women they keep drugged up in the attic so they can have men pay to have sex with them. This horror movie is for adults only, I cannot stress that enough. There, now if younger viewers are curious, it's not my fault. This is a good horror movie about some really perverted people. If you're okay with that, I say check it out. Number 5, The Devil's Backbone. People love Guillermo del Toro. He is one of the best directors today, and when it comes to his best movie, most people say it's Pan's Labyrinth. But my favorite movie by him is The Devil's Backbone. The main thing I love about this movie is that it's a ghost story that takes place during the Spanish Revolution, and it focuses on a group of kids. But the ghost story really isn't the main focus of the movie. It's happening around the edges of the story as these kids are trying to survive a desperate situation. And this is a movie that truly doesn't discriminate. Whether you're a child or an adult, if this movie wants to kill you off, it's gonna kill you off. I like a movie that doesn't treat kids, well, like kids. Number 4, The Town That Dreaded Sundown. Nothing like a good horror movie based on an actual crime. This movie follows the murders of the Phantom Killer that terrorized Texarkana, Arkansas in 1946. And was never captured, mind you. The movie does take plenty of liberties with the actual story, but it's still very well made. The murder scenes really work for this movie. They're not graphic or gory or flashy in any way, they're just raw. And I also like watching the police during the investigation. This is a movie with likable characters and a really menacing villain. The look of the killer is simple yet effective. Whenever he's on screen, he just has a presence. Definitely a good movie to check out if you like true crime movies. Number 3, The Horrors of Malformed Men. If you want a movie with plenty of what the fuck moments, this is it. This movie has quite a bit. You got mystery, revenge plots, doppelgangers, incest, and at the center of it all, an island made as a utopia for deformed people. This is definitely one of those it's not for everyone movies. Anyone who's bothered by nudity should probably steer clear of this one. Let's put it this way, this movie has more tits than Naked Fear, and it is a very weird movie. But still, it has great camera work, it's very intriguing, and it really knows how to dig its way under your skin. Quite a few moments where you just feel that gulp feeling. Leave it to the Japanese to be both weird and awesome at the same time. Number 2, The Last Horror Movie.
Hello.
When it comes to found footage movies, I have sort of a love-hate relationship with them. There are some that I like, but a lot of them really bother me. A lot of times when a movie's a found footage movie, I find it really distracting. Mainly because I think, why is everything being filmed, and why does this have to be a found footage movie? So many times I've come across a movie that is a found footage movie, but it would be much better if it were not. And the last horror movie is not one of those films.
Were you at all curious to see what was happening? I mean, I know you don't approve, and I'm not saying that you do. But were you absolutely sure, without a shadow of a doubt, that you weren't craning a little to see?
This movie is about a serial killer who films his life as a serial killer and tapes it over another horror movie just so you will rent it and watch it. Right away, it takes all the questions of why is this being filmed and answers them. And I love the movie because it's a film that truly involves the audience. The guy is always talking to you, always asking you questions, always staring at you through the TV screen. This is hands down my favorite found footage film. Try saying that 5 times.
Couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. But then that's the advantage of being a psychopath. You don't have to take any shit from people.
And finally, we're at number 1. So many underrated horrors, but only one spot remains.
Number 1, Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.
I know it's very obvious, I love old exploitation films. And I have a soft spot for the grindhouse throwback films that have been going on in recent years, such as Planet Terror, Drive Angry, and Hobo with a Shotgun. But Father's Day to me is a true exploitation film. It fits the spirit of the genre better than any of these other films that have come out. It looks gritty and dirty, it has no-name actors, it has plenty of sleaze, and it was made for only $10,000.
What about the GD Jeep? I think we can fix it. I think we can fix it.
I repeat, $10,000. The movie's also funny. It has a perfect balance between horror and comedy. I was laughing one minute and felt totally disturbed the next. I just love how the movie spoofs the genre just as much as it celebrates it. I say Father's Day is the best grindhouse throwback movie to come out in a long time, as well as my favorite underrated horror film.
There he is! Oh, what do we do? He shot me in the fucking head!
And there you have it, my top 10 underrated horror movies. But that's not the end, my friends. Because there's so many other great horror movies out there that not too many people have heard of. And I'd really like to do more top 10 lists like this. So I want you to tell me some of your favorite underrated horror movies. And I want you to find gems. Tell me about horror movies that you love that not too many people know about. And I'll try to incorporate them in my next list. I'm not sure when I'm going to get around to my next top 10 underrated horror movies, but stay tuned because you will see another list in the future. Tune in next time when I review John Carpenter's classic, They Live. Also stay tuned for a little something special that my friend Keith and I worked on. And with that note, I'll see you next time.